Hey everyone, welcome back to our third episode of High Vibin' with Hilary and Rev Rob.
Hey,
What's up,
everybody.
Rev Rob?
How are you, Hillary? Nice to see you again for our third episode. How fun is this?
This is so fun, and we're in the kitchen today,
Right. I
doing
like
the little things.
I like changing the background. I wish I had a kitchen that looked like that. I like that subway tile back there.
So today we want to discuss with you the interconnectivity of everything, how we really are connected to everything, every person, everything that has energy, basically.
Which is everything.
Yeah.
Every
What are your thoughts on this? I'm curious. What do you think?
So I feel like I have been I don't want to say evolving my thoughts about this, but kind of fitting it in with other things that I've heard in the past. So when you grow up and you hear like phrases like, we are all one, or, God is love, and we are one in the spirit. Like these are the kinds of things I've heard growing up I was Catholic in my faith, but talking to others that have grown up in uh, not necessarily Christian religions, but certainly in conservative religions. And you kind of hear that, but you're still always picturing in your mind, oh, okay, so there's this being, likely a patriarchal figure, and then we're all kind of like, I don't know, like part of this patriarchal figure. But I feel like as I've gotten older and more into the metaphysical world, I'm understanding more that if there's one energy, one creator, one whatever you want to see as this, supreme creation energy, then whatever that comes from it means that it's connected. So just like I'm not a parent, but you are, so you and your husband create an life in your children who are then all connected to each other by DNA and also connected to you as their parents, but are also individualized expressions of that DNA combination. So I really feel like that's how we are. If we can see each other as creations or expressions, or however we want to see that energy kind of individualize, then that means that we're all linked in that way. So, and if you and I think this works for people who have any religion. If you believe that God is the creator, just at the basic kind of Judeo-Christian, God made everything. That still means that God made you and me and our pets and all of the ideas that come from us to create the things that are there. So yeah, and when you start to see it that way and see, us as individual daughters or sons or expressions, whatever, of this divine force or this supreme force, or this, if you're, from another faith, a paternal or maternal force, we're still connected. Like even the most conservative of faiths, if you're going to think of God as a parental or maternal role, still means that they created us, and that means that we're connected in that way. So we're all brothers and sisters at its very basic level.
Right. And that's how I try and look at it, is we're all brothers and sisters, like literally, we're all brothers and sisters. So just like you don't like everything about your brothers and sisters, but you have to learn to be in peace with them and love them for who they are and what they are. I mean, so basically, if we are all connected, that means that we need to love everyone, the people that we don't jive with politically, um bad guys, so to speak. Because if we, for instance, put out like negative, like let's just take Putin for a second,
Mhm.
okay, probably one of the most hated guys right now. So if we start channeling all that hatred toward this person, that's an energy that we're sending out to somebody that we're technically brethren to.
Yes. Yes.
So how tricky is that? Because then we take in, I mean, we're sending out this negative vibration. And think of, everybody's watching the news. Everybody, well, not everybody, because I don't watch news, but a lot of people are watching the news, and they really, are learning to hate this guy from everything they read, everything, whatever. So here is this person that gets all this hatred. It's like, that is such a negative energy. So that doesn't, not only does that, is that not great for him? Not that we, want to celebrate him so much, but it's also, we're taking the hit for ourselves. It keeps us on a very low energy plane, keeps us in fear, keeps us in anger. These are not high vibrational vibes. And I'm not saying that people need to, you can't like love everybody in like this romantic kind of beautiful, like Disney movie. But we have to be very careful about our thoughts and our words. Maybe we don't necessarily love people like that, but maybe, we pray for them, or we send them love so that maybe they'll change what they're doing. And I mean, imagine if the whole world right now sended Putin love, perhaps this whole war would go away.
Sure. I mean, I always go a step further when we think about the sending love versus loving. So I think that the reason that it's hard for us to think of us loving somebody that annoys us or that frightens us or whatever is because we've kind of minimized this definition of love to be very to be that romantic notion, when in fact it's a much broader experience of our fellow humanity and our planet. So I almost I really I try myself, because it's easy to say, okay, well, I don't love this person, but I'm going to bless them. Rather than, I think the bigger part for me is always going, no, I know in my heart that I'm supposed to love them. Like, even if it's hard,
Right.
like I am supposed to take that bigger step and say, I love you, blank. And I think what you're talking about is this kind of exchange of negative energy continues to kind of perpetuate this idea that we are other, that there are others, that we are separate from one another.
Right.
And and what does that mean versus being kind of individual expressions of energy or the divine, versus also being able to see that that is what the thread is that connects us.
Right.
So how do we continue to open ourselves up to treating our world and other people the way we want to be treated for ourselves? It's the golden rule, really, when you realize that we're all connected, right?
Totally, totally. And in the opposite way, for instance, like with the Ukraine and what's going on there, we feel so much empathy and love for the people that are suffering in the Ukraine. So it shows you how connected we are, because it literally, you can feel your heart breaking when you watch and read about some of the situations that are going on over there. Well, why do you think that is? Because we're all connected.
We're all connected.
So, right. So, you know, so it's easy to send this love to things that we, connect with. But the big challenge, and the master, I suppose, is the one who can send love even to those that they're not so
Right.
crazy about. And that's really, the lesson. And I guess for me, that's really the push. Because it's sort of like, it reminds me of this movie. Do you remember the movie The Secret?
Yes.
Okay, it was 100 years ago at this point, but it was a good introductory movie. And I remember, who was the chick? Who was the chick that helped everybody? That was, oh gosh, Mother Teresa. I remember they were showing how when people in the 60s were protesting war, right? And she said, I will not participate in a protest of war. I will participate in a walk for peace. So just by, changing the wording there changes the entire vibration. If we're protesting something, if we're against something, it's the exact same energy that we don't want to be a part of, but we're actually drawing to
Yeah,
ourselves.
that's a really good point. We do spend a lot of time, and I know that sometimes even when we work with other people, we help them kind of drill down to the things that they want for their own lives by, of course, like identifying some of those things that they don't want. But I think more and more, I'm seeing that as like you said, just kind of focusing on the negative parts, or the parts that the more we protest and fight and resist, the more that what we're trying to resist kind of keeps expanding in our lives. It's just like try not to think about something, or try to put something out of your mind that you really don't want to think about, and it just keeps returning.
Right. 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 I think another way to show the example of this is like if you're thinking about somebody, let's say I'm thinking about you and I'm thinking about you and I'm like, God, I really should check in with Rob. I'm really feeling him. And then you check in with me. So it's like, it's the energy.
Yeah.
We're connecting energetically because we're all connected.
Yeah. Yeah, and this goes back to our topic last week of synchronicity. It's like the reason those synchronicities occur are because we're all connected. If we open ourselves to being that way, then it doesn't feel like the big coincidence that in day-to-day living we think it is. No, it is something that is the bigger picture, is that we are all connected. We can understand one another if we open ourselves up to it, which I
Yeah.
think is what kind of intuition is really all about. So, if I'm going to give you an intuitive reading, and everybody in their mind is thinking, "Oh, I'm trying to read your mind. I'm trying to see what's going on with you." For me, it's like, no, I'm really tapping into what is connecting both of us, which is our sameness, not our differences. So I'm not. I'm trying to read you by reading me and the part of me that is aligned with you. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it's why, as family members, we connect with, yeah, I'm sure with your kids, you've got that kind of, you're thinking about your daughter or son and they call you, or you know what they're thinking, they know what you're thinking quite often, and you don't have to say it or talk about it. I think that's where it
Right.
starts. If you can tap into that, then you can
Yeah. Yeah,
understand
and
what.
for sure. And in the same way, when let's say you're dealing with your kids or family members or spouses or whatever, and you're not connecting with them, the way to find your way back to peace with them is to find that middle ground, and to not be contrary with them just for the sake of, you're wrong and I'm right or whatever, but more just in a way of, well, how can I meet them where they're at? Which is really, when you take that in a bigger picture, that's what we have to do with the world. And I feel an urgency about this now because, certainly there's so much division. It started politically, and then because of COVID, and a little bit with the war, and there's always something that sometimes I wonder if it was designed to divide us so that we would learn, or well, we talked about how we don't believe in coincidence, so there
Yeah,
must be a
a
a
reason.
reason.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I really like the idea that it's designed to help us learn that we're all connected. So we may look different and we may have different experiences of the world around us, but we are all united in the fact that we're all human. We're all human beings. You know, People have said the one thing that will not unite humanity is if there is an invasion from an extraterrestrial culture, because then we will then all look at one another as, oh, we are all earthlings, or we are all people here on this earth. That is, now I'm going to be on your team, because now this other force that is an other is coming to show us that we're all connected in this way. I mean, it shouldn't get to that, and I don't necessarily think people who are extraterrestrial beings are going to be nefarious, but just the idea that when we unite against something, we can then tap into all those things that make us individuals and unique and our own gifts, but apply them to the thing that is going to help the team, grow. So, I mean, team, if you've got kids that play sports, if you play sports, it is the idea of coming together as one, but using all of what we bring to it individually to serve the greater unit.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, when you hear about like another country not having enough water or food or whatever, or even in our country, I mean, in my opinion, we have a responsibility to help because we are all connected. And so here's something interesting. Like I was thinking about, well, then how can we teach how to help, right? Beside the obvious, which is like, oh, just send them love. Well, not so easy to just send love, especially if you have strong issues about it. I could even see people watching this video and having a strong reaction in that way.
Yeah,
But
totally.
which is totally fine. And like you said in the beginning, we're not talking about romantic love. We're talking about just kindness, basically, just allowing people to be who they are. So I have this idea for a meditation. I don't know, we probably can't like get into the zone at this second, but have you ever heard about how you do it, where you sit quietly and you first visualize like your house or the place that you live, your dwelling, and you picture this love and peace in the dwelling. And then, once you've gotten that good, then you take it up your street and you send this vibration out to your street. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
And then you take it to your state,
Wider and
and then
wider.
you take it to the US, and then you take it to the world. And all you're doing is holding light, holding space for, basically the whole world. But since it's hard to send love to places or people that, don't seem super awesome, if you start small like that and just do your own, maybe your pets and you or your spouse or whatever, and then take it wider, 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 it makes it a little bit easier to spread that.
Yes. I think it's a great idea. I invite, I think in the coming week, I always like to send people away with just a little assignment, which if you can go through your life and become aware of those times that you are not feeling aligned, and that could start right at home. That could start with, with tension that's between a loved one, a relative, a spouse, or a kid, because it is that space, that tension space, that we are really asked to to move through to see that alignment. It's easy. You and I are friends. We're on this podcast and this live stream or this recording, and we're connected. It's easy when we're here. But what happens when it is not this easy? If you're going to church every week, it's really easy when you're sitting in a place and you're all saying the same thing. But what happens when you walk out the door? Someone cuts you off. Someone annoying is standing there writing a check in the grocery store instead of doing the self service or whatever. So like just before you even think to send people anything, just pay attention to the fact that, oh, this is one of those times that maybe I can see that it's a tension. And then the expansion could go, well, okay, so there's tension here. How can I be the bigger person here? Or how can I, if I'm the one that is not, how can I be the knowledgeable person and apply something? How can I, see something in that person that I identify with and then go, okay, that's why that's happening. Yeah. And it's basically the same thing. It's like starting small, being aware, and then don't, go hard on yourself if it's hard to do, because it is hard to do. I know for me, and I, just from being friends, like we're not talking from places where we've mastered this process at all. At all.
It's a work in progress every day. Actually, I want to show another idea that I have. I just have to slide right across the room here and get a pillow. Hang on one second.
Hello.
Can you hold down the fort for one
I
second?
will hold down the fort. Yes,
Okay,
because
hold
you know
on.
I got lots to say. So there she goes. There's her chair. Yeah, and I'm going to just use this opportunity to keep saying that when we realize that we are connected, i.e., we're basically different versions of the same energy, divine, or however you think of it. Then at that point we have to at some point we're going to stop. We're going to realize that if you are a part of the same thing that I'm a part of, that means that you're a part of me and I'm a part of you. Oh, I don't want to harm a part of me if I hurt you,
Right. You
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 know?
could look at it in a more selfish way,
Right, right, totally.
which is really like it behooves me to be kind to people across the board, because ultimately then that's what I receive back, because it's all just energy. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I think of it that way a lot of times. If there's like somebody maybe that I'm in conflict with, I still think to myself, well, I still want to heal this, not so much for them, but for me.
For you, right. So it's like you have to, for me, I've learned that I cannot broach these situations expecting the other person to change. I'm doing it purely for me. So if they change, they change. If they don't, I have learned how to love beyond it. And so it ultimately is where I need to be. And so that I can only hope that would keep growing.
Yeah.
So
So I have this cool exercise. We have like, I don't know, like 7 minutes left. So do you have access to a pillow anywhere
I do.
close?
How big does it have to be?
It doesn't have to be, it can be the tiny, well, just something that you can squeeze.
Oh yeah, I do. One moment. I'm gonna
Okay.
look out
I'll
of
hold
mine.
down the fort. Basically, what we're going to be doing is a loving kindness exercise, which helps teach you how to send love out to somebody, even if you're not completely feeling it. I learned this from a really good teacher that I used. She taught me this, and I do this every morning after I meditate. Okay, so you have your pillow.
Mhm.
Okay, so audience, if you are watching, take a look at this, and then maybe you can put this into practice or do this with us. Basically, energy transcends anything. Okay. So this is a pillow hug. What we're going to be doing is we're going to hug this pillow. And as we hug this pillow, we'll close our eyes and we're going to be sending love. Now, what I would like to do with you, Rob, since it's just the two of us, and I want you to feel the energy that we exchange. We're going to hug this pillow and I'm going to send you love. And at the same time, you're going to send me love back. And when you, I think when you put a pillow here and you're actually hugging, it feels like you're connecting in the heart space. It
Oh,
feels like
absolutely.
love. Hug is the best thing in the world.
I think it's why body size pillows are now so popular on beds because people love that feeling of being wrapped and hugging something. So,
Yeah, it's like a security thing,
mhm.
like when we're little and we have stuffed animals. So we're going to show you guys how to do this. We're just going to do it with each other, but I want you to know I send this to my parents every single day. They're elderly, and to send them some healing energy. After I meditate, I will sit and I'll send it to myself and I'll hug myself, and then I'll send it to each one of them and I'll think of them. And as I'm thinking of them, I'll try and like open my heart and connect into them. And honest to God, I shit you not, I can feel when their energy comes in, because you don't have to be in the same physical space with someone to send love, for them to feel it. It literally is like what you learned in church or synagogue or
Right,
wherever you went, or you can just send it. I mean, it's really energy is powerful.
right. Love is energy anyway. It doesn't matter whether I'm in your physical space or not. It's still in the
Right,
ether. So
right. Okay, so bear with us as we try this experiment. Okay, so hug your pillow, Rob, and if you can, focus your love for me, which I kind of already feel, which is really wild. Okay, and I'm gonna send you mine. I feel so like I can totally feel you here. Can
Yeah,
you?
it feels like we're hugging each other at this
It
point.
feels like we're hugging each other, right?
Yes, indeed.
It's a beautiful thing.
It
And
is.
so, okay, so we can open our eyes again. But this is a really cool little trick that you can send to, like, let's say you have a parent or something that you don't get to see very much. This is a way to feel like you're hugging them and they can actually feel it. Now, depends on how self-aware they are, but if they're not, subconsciously they're feeling it. So this is a really good exercise. So you can start out, sending it to a friend, sending it to someone you care about, but then try and send it to someone that you're in conflict with.
Yeah, that's great. I love this is a phenomenal idea. And I do love the idea of starting it with yourself. Like, gosh, you know, hugging ourselves is something that we're not encouraged to do. And I'm going to steal that from you because I am going to start encouraging people to do that. It's that's important. If we can't embrace ourselves, we say if we can't love ourselves, how can we love other people? But it's true for
Right.
the hug. So how do you feel? How do you get that like visceral feeling of love for yourself? Well, you grab that pillow and you hug it tight, and it's you.
Feels
And
so good. And the thing is, many people, are by themselves. They don't even have someone necessarily to physically hug. And humans need that physical connection. So this simulates it. So this is pretty nice.
love it.
Um, so yeah, so the pillow hug and certainly that meditation where you start very small and you're sending love to the people in your house or to you, and then you're expanding till you get to the whole world. And that's kind of just a quickie way to teach how to send this energy out. It's just such an important thing at this time in our world, where we're so divided. We have to find a way back to each other.
It's,
Um,
it's true,
that's
and it's not easy, which means we do have to love those who we consider not lovable or annoying or anything. So
great.
that's where it happens. It's easy to love our family. It's easy for some of us. Uh, I know it's challenging for others, but again, it's like if your family is the issue, then that's who you have to love. Whoever it is that you think doesn't deserve the love, that's the person that needs the love
The
more. And once
most.
you know that, you can't not do it, right? If you know better.
When you refuse to send love to or be kind to those people, when you decide to just hold a grudge or something, you can feel it in your heart. You can feel a tightening in your chest, which can also often lead to heart disease.
Mhm.
There's physical issues that crop up from keeping your heart closed. So if you're going to keep your heart open, you have to keep it open to everyone, not just to the people you like.
And again, we're not saying because we're experts. We still learn every day that's something we have
Totally.
to do.
And
So,
really, the reason why it works so easily for me first thing in the morning after meditation is because I'm already in that calm space. I haven't done anything else, and it's real easy to send it. So
right.
if you're learning how to do this, this would be the time.
Don't do it with the context of the rest of the world coming at you at crazy things. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So I feel
nice.
pretty complete on this topic. Is there
Yes, I
anything that you
do.
want to add?
I don't. I just, again, just pay it, in addition to putting it out there, pay attention to when it doesn't feel like it's working. That is just as important so that because again, it's easy when it's easy, but when it's hard is when those of us that are here listening, watching this broadcast, once we know this is what we have to do ourselves. So it's almost a calling in a way. So pay
Great.
attention and then we'll go from there. But just know when
Yeah.
you need to do
Everything,
it.
it's interesting because everything ultimately starts and ends with you, but really the you is everything on earth. But ultimately it starts and ends with you. And that's why you have to learn to love self first, because then it lets you love others much easily. And it's really just acceptance. You don't have to agree with anybody else's issues or anybody else's thoughts. That doesn't matter. You can completely disagree, but you just want to allow everyone to have their own beliefs and be accepting that it's okay that they don't have the same views as you, even when they're views that everybody else thinks this, it doesn't really matter. It's really just learning acceptance of self leads to acceptance of everyone else, which
And
leads.
love of self means that you learn to love the part of you that is in somebody else. So that's the part that that's the part that is the part you love. You don't have to love the external stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you and I, on our way out the door here, let's hug our pillows and send it to our audience. You want to?
yes, indeed. And this is for if you are watching in real time, or if you're watching, however long ago we've made this. If you're watching it, it's still coming to you right now. It is still coming
Yeah,
because that's the end of this.
absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're watching this, like really allow yourself to receive this love that we're about to send to you. Okay. And we love you.
We love you. Bye.
Do you feel the connection, Rob?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, I
Thank you
love it.
so
Thank you.
much, everyone. Be well. Come join us
Yes.
again next week.
Go
Okay.
be high-fiving.
We'll be high vibing. Bye.